Imagine this. You're walking home after a long, arduous day. Your 9 to 5 stretched into overtime, leaving you mentally drained. As you head to the train station hoping to catch the last train, you notice the people around you, their eyes just as empty as yours. Their briefcases stuffed with papers they'll probably ignore once they get home, and holding plastic bags with convenience store meals. You're no different, heading back to a quiet one-bedroom apartment where the only thing waiting for you is silence. You'll eat, shower, sleep, and do it all again tomorrow. It's a monotonous cycle, one that feels endless and unfulfilling. Suddenly, a wave of dizziness hits. You stumble, tripping into the road. Just as a truck speeds towards you, you close your eyes, bracing for impact. But when you open them, the city is gone. You're surrounded by massive, unfamiliar trees, their canopy stretching far above. A strange animal darts away, snapping you back to reality. It's clear. This isn't your world anymore. The concrete jungle has vanished, replaced by something entirely new. A fresh start, with new rules and possibilities. This is what's known as Isekai. Now, in order to fully grasp the impact of Isekai, it's important to recognize scholarly work about it. I know, don't click off. This isn't a uni lecture. I promise it's only going to take a minute. Professor of Japanese Literature at Williams College, Christopher Bolton, has a book called Interpreting Anime that I believe is particularly relevant in the era increased by diverse isekai series. Japanese anime, manga, and light novels span a wide range of themes and materials, making the comprehension and interpretation of these media forms a must. This is especially true for the isekai genre, which serves as a lens into Japanese society and culture. Bolton's assertion that anime can influence audience perceptions is particularly enlightening for understanding the appeal of isekai. He suggests that anime is powerful because it taps into the audience's unconscious desires. Many isekai protagonists face challenges such as overwork, bullying, or unfulfilling relationships. Issues that resonate widely with viewers. This connection not only increases the audience's awareness of their own issues, but also provides a character that they can relate to. Through the narrative of isekai, where protagonists often find happiness in new worlds, the genre intensifies the audience's yearning for escapism, occasionally to detrimental extents. So, TLDR, the insight from Bolton's work is that Japanese visual media has a critical role in shaping audiences' beliefs, positioning it as a very potent and influential form of media. The increasing popularity of isekai since the early 2010s is indicative of its resonance with widespread society issues. Disturbingly, its appeal often stems from the intense identification the audience has with the protagonist's struggles, which can reflect unhealthy attitudes towards real-life challenges. This, however, raises critical questions about the genre's culture and psychological impacts. And so, what aspects of isekai encourage viewers to disengage from reality? What are the consequences of such escapism? And finally, to what extent do anime and manga provide insights into contemporary Japanese society? To explore these questions, however, I'll need to first identify the three main subcategories of the isekai genre, and through analyzing these subcategories' distinct characteristics and themes, it'll help you understand the genre's dynamics and focal points. And though these subgenres often overlap in content and style, each offer unique insights into the underlying concerns and anxieties prevalent in Japan today, and to an extent East Asia as a whole. The isekai genre, particularly its cookie-cutter format, has established a template from which many works have used, demonstrating how successful this approach to story writing is. This type is notably the most prevalent and influential within the genre, and can be categorized by several distinct features. Firstly, many classic isekai works draw significant inspiration from video games. This influence is evident in the use of video game mechanics and items, which creates a familiar feel that appeals to viewers who are also gamers. This aspect enhances the genre's accessibility, as protagonists often have a menu displaying their attributes like strength, intellect, and luck, allowing the viewers to quickly understand who the characters are and their current abilities.
本当にここは異世界なのか? つまりそのタイマテとやら 俺たちに倒せっていうのか?
そうなります.
Another defining characteristic of this style is that protagonists typically have a clear overarching goal, such as defeating a great evil, often represented as a demon king, or thus saving the world. Furthermore, these main characters possess unique and frequently overpowered abilities that set them apart, and these skills may be innate or given to them by a god in the new world. It would be the equivalent of me going back to the 3rd grade and flexing on 9-year-olds for knowing my times tables. While such special abilities contribute to the genre's appeal, enabling audiences to vicariously experience being extraordinary, they also present a critical issue. This emphasis on unique powers can encourage an unhealthy level of escapism, where viewers might use these narratives to distance themselves from real-life challenges. For instance, envision being in your room, drifting away from everyday stresses, like traffic noise, workplace conflicts, or near-miss accidents on the street. This detachment, while providing temporary relief, may lead viewers to lose touch with reality, becoming overly immersed in the fantasy worlds of isekai. These core traits of the isekai genre both captivate and potentially mislead audiences. By examining the psychological impacts and the dual nature of these characteristics, it highlights the underlying problems associated with the genre's prevalent escapism. This is also why this style of isekai continues to dominate and influence the landscape of anime and manga, as it reveals the viewer's true desires and societal trends. Looking specifically at anime though, as much as I personally hate this show, Sword Art Online is probably one of, if not the most significant work in this isekai subgenre, as at the time it was the first one of its kind with notable success and showed investors and animation studios how profitable animating isekai manga and light novels could be. Set in the near future, the narrative revolves around 10,000 players who become trapped in a virtual reality video game, unable to log out. The stakes are high, as losing in that game means passing away in real life. The only way to escape is to defeat the final boss or clear all 100 floors of the game, thus uniting the players under a shared urgent goal. The protagonist, Kirito, is the typical isekai hero. As a former beta tester of the game, he possesses advanced knowledge and a unique skill that no other player has, setting him apart and giving him a distinct advantage. This combination of knowledge and power is a hallmark of the standard isekai storyline, where the protagonist's exceptional abilities play a central role. Sword Art Online not only brought widespread attention to the isekai genre, but also helped define its conventions by blending the immersive aspects of virtual reality with the narrative structure of isekai. SAO explored themes of escapism, identity, and the consequences of digital life interwoven with reality. This series' influence is evident in how it set the narrative and thematic guidelines that define what many consider a proper isekai story. Overpowered abilities in a world where lines blur between game and reality. Slow life isekai is a classification of isekai that is aimed at people who want to take a break and escape from their busy and exhausting lifestyles. Like the protagonists, the main readers of this subgenre tend to exhibit higher degrees of escapism. And although everyone has moments of escapism, be it reading, doom scrolling, or playing games, there is a line that should not be crossed. Differing from standard isekai plots that typically involve around quests for heroism or grand adventures, slow life isekai focuses on protagonists who lead ordinary lives in new worlds. These characters generally lack ambitions to become heroes or adventurers, and are endowed with skills that are non-combative. Instead, they opt for leisurely pace, embracing and enjoying the mundane aspects of life in their new surroundings. A prime example of this can be seen in the anime Farming in Another World, which follows the life of an overworked Japanese salaryman who passes away from exhaustion in his 30s. Before his reincarnation, he requests to God to let him live a simpler life as a farmer in a new world, wishing for a body immune to illness. Upon reincarnation, he receives a versatile tool capable of transforming into any agriculture implement he needs. Initially, he uses this tool to build a home and establish a farm. As the story progresses, he attracts followers of various races and establishes a peaceful village, ultimately becoming a respected village chief who lives a completely opposite life to his previous stressful existence. This trend has grown popular in isekai because it transforms an individual's underappreciated skill into something valuable in another world, giving them a sense of purpose. However, for some viewers, this can foster a dangerous mindset, as it encourages them to cling onto unproductive habits in hope that those skills will one day become useful. This would of course be opposed to them improving their current lifestyle. Another example can be seen in series such as Overlord and In the Land of Leadale, where in both the protagonists play a specific game all their life, and when transported into said game, keeps all their stats, skills, and loot from when they played the game in what is now their new life, thus becoming extremely overpowered. overpowered. Series like these highlight the unrealistic nature of the character's abilities, which can negatively impact individuals who become overly absorbed in isekai, further blurring the lines between fantasy and reality. Another form of slow life isekai has to do with food. When you think of Japanese culture, for a lot of you, the food probably comes to mind. I mean, no matter where you're watching from, you can probably understand the feeling of sharing your country's cuisine and culture to another. And these shows do just that, and the viewer can see the reaction of people who eat Japanese food for the first time. Izakaya Nobu is arguably one of the most famous food isekai anime out there. The story is about an izakaya, a Japanese-style pub that is directly linked to an alternate world. One door leads to Japan, while the other leads to a medieval-level society. Customers who come in have a chance to taste various kinds of Japanese cuisine and wonder about the creation of complex dishes. For example, they can order dishes like karaage chicken, tempura, tonjiru, and even order Japanese beer to go along with their meal. And then, in each episode, we see the patrons get surprised by the freshness of the ingredients and the ingenuity of the chef's ideas. Shows like Isekai Shokudo and Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skill copy the same formula. The characters who get transported into another world often talk about how the food is bland or are saddened at the lack of innovation in their new world. So as a result, once they introduce new recipes, they're instantly lauded with praises for their abilities. I love Japanese food, and it's personally my favorite. Frankly, when I went to Japan last year, all I did was eat. And whilst this take might be a bit of a reach, hidden within all this food isekai anime feels as though there is a hint of toxic nationalism. Since Japanese cuisine is put on such a high pedestal in these shows, the subtle underlying tone is that Japanese cuisine is superior above all others, and that it's up to these Japanese nationals to spread their culture to societies that have not experienced it yet. And well, if you know about Japan's past, they have a bit of a history with being too enthusiastic about it. This is, however, most likely not the intention of the authors to portray themes like this, but it's something interesting to keep in mind. Again, because of characteristics like these, it may lead impressionable viewers to have escalating extremist thoughts. Romance-focused isekai takes a different route, prioritizing relationships in these stories. A unique skill often enhances the protagonist's charm, making them more attractive to the opposite or even same gender, and highlighting the significance of this trait. These series typically follow a male protagonist who, after gaining new powers in a different world, sets out to build a harem of appealing partners. This formula caters to a specific audience, tapping into their fantasies of romantic fulfillment and idealized connections. Since these different worlds also have different laws as well, commonly in these anime, it would be possible to buy, and I need to phrase this carefully so I don't get demonetized, people who do work for you for free. For example, in the anime Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World, when the protagonist visits a buy someone who does work for you for free merchant, he finds a girl he likes and makes it his goal to save up money to buy her, and then uses her as an SS. I'll let you figure out what that stands for. Death March to a Parallel World Rhapsody is another prime example of this trope. He uses his powers and abilities to defeat his enemies and builds a harem for himself in the new world. Stories like these allow the audience to explore experiences and scenarios that wouldn't be possible in the real world, at least not without being extremely frowned upon. Although this might sound entertaining at first, series like the ones mentioned above can set a dangerous precedent for certain individuals. Picture this: you finish that takeout meal, stash your work briefcase in the closet, and lose yourself in the role of the protagonist. Over time, you might develop an inflated sense of power, falling into a dangerous mindset that perpetuates sexism and objectification in the real world. This over-identification of idealized characters can lead to harmful behaviors, distorting perceptions of relationships and self-worth. This objectification of women is actually a massive issue in all of East Asia, and I plan to make a video on that sometime later down the line, so stay tuned for that. As I previously mentioned, the isekai genre frequently features protagonists who are reincarnated from roles traditionally looked down upon within Japanese society. Neets, hikikomori, the Japanese word for shut-ins, people who unalive themselves, and overworked salarymen. This choice of characters is intended to speak to a broader audience that finds themselves similarly disenfranchised and dissatisfied with their lives. For instance, The protagonist in all of these anime is a typical overworked salaryman who passes away after neglecting their health due to work stress. Similarly, the past lives of Subaru from Re:Zero, Rudius from Mushoku Tensei, Kazuma from Konosuba, just to name a few popular ones, but many more as well, are all either NEETs or hikikomori, who share traits of isolating themselves and running away from responsibility. The Lagarden Prosperity Index ranked Japan in the top 20 in terms of economic prosperity, but in terms of social capital, which measures how strong professional and personal relationships are, Japan ranked 141st out of 167 countries. It's actually kind of insane that a country in the top 20 for its economic strength ranks almost at the bottom of the world for interpersonal relationships. So, needless to say, there's a lot of people in Japan who are unsatisfied with their current lifestyle, but lack the desire and opportunity to change themselves off their current occupation. Instead, many continue with their unfulfilling lifestyles, but try to find avenues of escape. Isekai is the perfect escapist model and allows people to live out their fantasies and distract themselves from real life, even if only for a moment. Well, about 22 minutes to be exact. By the way, shameless plug to my video where I talk about gambling addiction in Asia and how a part of it is due to escapism. But watch that later. Anyway, the characters mentioned before are all in similar situations where they have reached a dead end, either with their life or motivation, and have resigned themselves to suffering for the remainder of their lives. However, Isekai offers these individuals a form of salvation, granting them a second chance to reinvent themselves and achieve goals that seemed impossible in their former lives. The genre resonates deeply with its audience, many of whom yearn for a fresh start, a chance to live differently. Hey, you might be one of them. I mean, I've sure fantasized about it. Like, imagine if I bought Bitcoin in 2009. Anyway, with the knowledge and experience from your previous life, you could quit your exhausting job, open that dream restaurant, or finally find love. Yet, this mindset carries a risk. For those who feel extremely trapped or disillusioned with their current lives, the allure of isekai can become dangerous. Instead of addressing their real-world struggles, they may fixate on the fantasy of escaping to another world, and almost in a religious manner, believing that they will in fact get another chance. This escapism can lead to avoidance, creating more problems for themselves and those around them. And so whilst isekai offers hope, it can also encourage a dangerous reliance on the idea of running away rather than confronting life's challenges. Furthermore, the isekai genre often features stories where protagonists leverage seemingly trivial or obscure knowledge to great effect in alternate worlds, creating a sense of validity and importance to niche interests or skills that are seen as impractical or irrelevant in the modern world. Thus, this narrative device also resonates deeply with those who possess similar obscure interests. For instance, in Onshin's manga, the villainess will crush her destruction end through modern firepower. The protagonist is a student with a gun obsession in Japan, where strict gun laws severely limit her hobby. Reincarnated into a new world, she finds that a previously impractical fixation becomes a powerful tool, as she gains the magical ability to create and use firearms. This new reality validates her pastime, transforming it from a cumbersome hobby into a significant advantage, and subsequently could also validate the obsessions of a reader who sees themselves in the protagonist. Similarly, the anime No Game No Life follows Sora and Shiro, two hikikomori siblings whose sole skill is gaming. In their new world, this seemingly useless skill of being good at online gaming, but also not quite good enough to become pro, mind you, becomes crucial for survival and success, further illustrating how isekai validates unconventional knowledge and abilities. Another pervasive theme of isekai is that protagonists often receive unique abilities or tools that set them apart dramatically from everyone else in the new world. Examples include Kirito from Sword Art Online, who uniquely wields dual swords, or Machio from Farming in Another World, who possesses a versatile shape-shifting tool. Such abilities not only make these characters central to the new world, but also fulfills a fantasy of being singularly special and indispensable. This aspect of isekai can be particularly appealing in a collectivist society like Japan, where individual distinction is culturally downplayed. In such societies, standing out from the group can be challenging, and many feel as though they are just another cog in this societal machine. Isekai offers a narrative escape where individual and personal significance are not only possible, but celebrated. It taps into a deep-seated human desire to feel special and recognized, providing a vicarious experience of being extraordinary. However, this is problematic as it encourages a disconnection from reality, where individuals become overly fixated on fantasy worlds where they are powerful and celebrated, instead of engaging with and improving their real lives. This fixation can hinder personal development and contribute to a reluctance to address real-world problems, creating a cycle of dissatisfaction at one's own life. Understanding this dynamic is crucial, as it reflects not only the appeal of Isekai, but also its potential cultural impact, as it shows the genre's ability to both enchant and mislead by preying on the desires for significance and recognition at those who are most vulnerable. Finally, another issue with Isekai lies in the character design of its protagonists, both before and after their transition to a new world. In almost every single series, the design of the main character prior to going to the new world is that of which resembles an average Japanese person. Average build, black hair, and very few distinguishing features. This design choice allows viewers, particularly Japanese audiences, their main demographic, to easily project themselves onto the character, most likely imagining that they are the ones living a new, exciting life. In many cases, the protagonist's face in the original world isn't even shown, further simplifying this self-insertion. However, once entering the new world, the protagonist's appearance completely transforms, giving them an idealized, flawless body in the new world. For those unhappy with their real-world looks, this can create a fantasy of becoming beautiful and admired. However, this can also foster unhealthy perspectives on self-image and beauty, potentially leading to extreme measures like excessive plastic surgery to emulate these idealized characters. Although escapism might initially sound negative, it plays a crucial role in maintaining mental well-being. Like previously mentioned, arguably everyone engages in some form of escapism, whether to cope with stressful jobs, strained relationships, or the rising cost of living. The ways people escape vary, but the degree to which people indulge in it is key, especially when examining Japan through the lens of Isekai. Japan's needs and hikikomori are stark examples on how escapism can go too far, when escaping reality feels easier than facing it. Escapism, however, is best in moderation. Too little can lead to burnout as individuals become overwhelmed by their circumstances. Too much, on the other hand, encourages constant avoidance, with individuals hoping their problems will resolve themselves. Striking a balance is essential, as escapism should provide relief without becoming a substitute for confronting life's challenges. Furthermore, psychologists from Tokyo Medical University believe that escapism may be one of the leading reasons that explains Japan's infamously high making yourself not alive anymore rate. And ultimately, the isekai genre only exacerbates this trend and is possibly inviting more vulnerable people to participate in this sort of behavior. According to My Anime List, the anime version of IMDb, between 2012 to 2018, the number of isekai works was on average 6 series per year. However, in 2019 alone, that number almost doubled, jumping to 11. And last year, in 2024, there was 31. Yes, 31 different isekai anime series, and once again for another year, making it the most popular genre of anime. Don't get me wrong, I watched every single one of them, and I'd like to think of myself as someone who's not a hikikomori. I promise I'm not. But this incredible jump illustrates the increasing demand for this genre, and the Japanese audience's reliance and addiction to it, as a way to escape reality. No matter how one sees isekai, I believe its popularity acts as an effective gauge to measure where the culture of Japan is headed, since it shows what themes engage viewers the most. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this video, please give that like and subscribe button a little nudge. Also, let me know in the comments what your favorite anime is, because now that this video is done, I'm looking for another show to binge. However, if you're curious as to why so many people in East Asia have plastic surgery, I recommend checking out this video. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to Curtis Liu. With his help and permission, I was able to make this video. Like, over half the script was based on information from his research paper, The Darker Sides of the Isekai Genre. If you have the time, I recommend giving it a read. And as always, if you're eating right now, I hope you're having a wonderful meal. I'll see you in the next one.